first let's create a, let's create a regular standard size document. Here are the dimensions. It's in pixels. It's 72 pixels per inch, which is standard. RGB color, not CMYK. And we're not gonna mess with this stuff. You don't have to touch any of this stuff. Let's just create a brand new document. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna show you the toolbar, because there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of icons. I understand it's overwhelming at the beginning. So let's just break it down. First, it's just like if you're getting into a car, what are the things you need to know how to use in order just to get around, just the basics. So let's first look at, we're gonna look at a few tools in the toolbar. But before that, let's just look at the interface really quickly. If your interface doesn't look like this, what you should do is go to Window, Workspace, and then set it to Essentials. This is the standard setup for Photoshop, and it's called Essentials, and you can just click this and it'll set it up to look like this. So first you have your toolbar over here. You have the artboard that you're working on right here. And then you have a set of tools that you're gonna need later, but let's not worry about them right now. This is color picker, you understand that. This is the properties panel, which is pretty important. It adjusts to whatever you're selected to, and it shows you the properties of that. And then below that is alignment, and then below that is the important layers panel. And this is going to be really important. It's something that you always look at all the time. It organizes the stacks of layers that are in your document, that make up your document. Okay, first let's just focus on this array of tools. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot and I'm going to use Photoshop to teach you about Photoshop. So first I'm going to take a screenshot. Let's see, there we go. And I'm going to close this document and open it up open up the original document in Photoshop. I'm just going to do that by just finding where the screenshot is and then just throwing it into Photoshop, and it should just open right there. So now you can see it's 66.7%, which means it's not the full size. In order to get it to be full size, there's a couple of ways you can do this. One way is you can go down here and you can just change this to 100%, but I'm not going to do it that way because I never do it that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use Control plus, and that zooms in, and Control minus zooms out. So you can just do this, and we're going to get a little inception here. We're going to get like, okay, where is the, I can't tell which is the photo and which is reality, but trust me, don't worry, it's not a huge, I won't do this for very long. But this is the screenshot of this interface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the tools in the toolbar, and this one is called a Marquee, the rectangular Marquee tool. You can do elliptical or single row, single column if you want, but I'm using the rectangular Marquee tool, and I'm just going to cut out the, I'm going to marquee the toolbar, current toolbar, basically this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just one thing I can do is I can just crop it, but I'm just going to copy it, and then I'm going to start a new document and paste it into that new document. So let's see here. How big should this be? Well, I can see that the thing that I clipped out is 39 by 715. So if I made a document that's this big, it would be able to accommodate that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a new document. You can see it created a new document. And I'm just going to paste it in. And of course, you can use Control V here. But I'm just going to do this just so you see like what the deal is. Okay, so now I created a new document just with this. I just pasted in that bit of this file that I cut out, and you can already see what the Marquee tool does. The Marquee tool, you can select part of a image file. So this is an image file. And you can, it says, I'm gonna operate on that, whatever you have selected. And the term that you need to know about this Marquee is that it makes this thing called, and this is an industry standard term, it's called the marching ants. So you can see the ants marching around, and that tells you, hey, this is the selected marquee area. We're gonna do whatever we're gonna do here inside of this, okay? You'll see that a lot, you'll see it later. So anyways, what I did was I selected that, and then I pasted those pixels into this new artboard. So what I'm gonna do is I wanna move, let's say I wanna move this thing around. I don't use the Marquee tool. I need to use the Move tool, which moves a selection or a layer. Okay, so this icon here stands for Move. This is a very, very common, useful tool that you're gonna use. So now you can see my cursor has changed to the Move tool. So now I can take this thing and move it around. Okay, so I'm going to move it. Let's say I'm going to move it over here. And also, if you look at the layers, just notice here, inside of Artboard 1, there is a layer 1. And I'm just going to rename this just to make it clear. This is the toolbar. All right, so you can see if I turn that off, it disappears. I'm turning the visibility of this layer on and off. And what I'm gonna do is I wanna focus on the toolbar because I know it can be very intimidating. But you'll see that this toolbar is actually divided into sections. Well, not literally divided, but it's grouped. And what the main groupings are, that this group right here are, and I'm gonna type this out for you. These are the move and selection tools. Oops, I can't type. All right, so already you see I want to move this around. How do I do that? I use the move tool. Right? Got that? So now these, I don't know who set this defaults, but I don't like it. I'm gonna change the type, and the way you do that is character. So that opens up the character palette. Why is it spaced out like that? It must have been what I was doing previously. I want to change the letter spacing. I want to change let's change the font. Let's change the color. Okay, let's change the size. I don't know, let's make it 24. Okay, so I'm back here. So this group of 4 tools up here are about moving and selecting things. So grabbing things, either objects or pixels. This, I'm just gonna draw a little, I'm gonna use the pencil tool to draw a line here just to indicate which 4 I'm talking about. But if you notice, I get this little, grayed out negative slash here, which tells me I can't draw right now. Why can't I draw right now? Well, let's look over here, and it says I'm in the layer that I'm in a type layer. So you can tell it's a type layer by this little icon here. So basically what happened was when I created type here, I made some type, it went ahead and made its own layer for this text. It says it's a text layer. I called it a type layer. It's the same thing. So it made its own layer for the text. It didn't stick that onto this layer, this other layer with pixels on it, which it used to do, I think. And now it's, by default, it's keeping it separate for you to make it easier for you to kind of keep track and adjust things. So in order to draw, I need to create a new layer to draw on, or I could move here and now you can see, oh, I can draw on that. But I'm gonna make a new layer just to make it easier for myself later. So here you click on this little plus button here in the layers panel, and it creates a new layer. And I'm gonna call that drawing. So I just wanted to mark that these 4 tools are move and selection tools. Okay, and now I want to label some more tools. This is the next couple of tools are crop, cropping and slicing and dicing. These 2 tools are for cutting things out, which is similar to selection, I guess, but they're slightly different. Yeah, they're not exactly, but you could do some of that with these move tools, but let's just call these cropping and slicing. And again, I had to go back to this layer to draw on it. And then my next, the next set of tools actually is just this one box, is really for measurement. And I don't like how it's doing centered all the meat by automatically. And then I'm gonna draw on this layer. This is measurement. So why is it an eyedropper? Because it's actually, I mean, you could argue that the eyedropper tool does measure. It measures what pixel value is underneath, and it gets the value for you. But there's other tools here, which are, I think the main reason that it's called measurement is it's a ruler tool which allows you to measure things. But I'm not going to get into that yet. So this one's for measurement. The next block of things are for retouching and painting. And so these tools from here to here are all about retouching and painting. Okay, so and this last group of tools are kind of similar to the Illustrator tools. These are for drawing and for type. I would also call them like path. They create paths, and I will talk about that in a second. I'm going to here. So these four here are for drawing shapes and paths and things like that. So objects that you would normally create in Illustrator, you can also do that on your Photoshop file. And then these last two here are really just about navigation. This is the hand tool and a magnifying glass. It helps you navigate your document, basically. So these last two are about navigation. And then actually this button is for editing, if you want to rearrange these tools because you don't like the way that they group them. That's totally fine. You can remove some that you never use, but I never touch that. This last panel here is, I would call it, it's really the color. It represents the color of the selection, the color properties of the selection that you currently have, and you can adjust the color there too. And I'll show you that later. And then these last ones this is masking, and this is full screen mode, which you don't necessarily need to worry about. Okay, so now you can see how this toolbar is kind of grouped together. So these tools are grouped together, and really it's not as intimidating once you kind of get the hang of what these larger groups are. So really it's like these are moving and selecting things in your document. This is for cropping and slicing the document on the document level. This is for measuring things like getting the eyedropper, getting a color, getting the measurement, how many pixels something is. These are all tools for retouching and painting, which we'll get into later, but it's about like adjusting and modifying the pixels in your Photoshop document. And these are for drawing shapes and paths, similar to how you would in Illustrator. And this is, you can see they're similar tools. There is this path selection, this is the type tool, this is the pen tool, and this is the shapes tool. This draws primitive shapes. And then this is for navigation. So I'll just stop here, but I showed you the move tool. I showed you a little bit of the marquee tool. We'll get into more of these later, but the navigation tools are fairly straightforward. So I'll just demonstrate what these do here. So like, if you look at the hand tool, it says it allows you to pan over parts of the image. So this just, all it does is it's moving the canvas or the artboard so that you can position it. So like, okay, I actually want to move it here in the screen. But it's not doing anything. Oh, I didn't realize they put a little friction or it's sliding. I didn't realize that they did that. Also, one thing that you're probably going to find yourself doing is you're going to zoom, like let's zoom into these, and then you're going to use the hand tool to kind of move around and position your document so that you can work on it easily. And also you'll see, look at how cool this is that you can actually now see all of the pixels that you're dealing with. This is what we were talking about before with pixels, and how in Photoshop you are dealing with pixels, and in Illustrator you're dealing with paths and objects that are defined by math, really. So if you want to zoom out, so I'm selected in the zoom tool, what you need to do, oops, wrong key, is that you need to, well, one thing you can do is hit the Alt key, and once you press on that, it turns to a minus. You see that? And then if you click while you're minus, your cursor is on a minus, it will zoom out. Then you can always hit the space bar to actually bring up the hand tool. So this is a useful set of tools. You could use Alt, minus, and plus to do the same. Oops. Sorry, Control. I'm not used to this PC keyboard. Sorry. So you use Control, plus, and minus to do this. So you could do like something like this, and then use the space bar to move the artboard around. Hold the space bar until it turns into a hand, and then you can zoom back out. So this is the basic the way that you use these tools, and it'll become second nature to you once you do it often enough. But you'll need to know how to adjust your screen, the artboard, so that it's fitting in the right place for you to do your work. And we also covered how the move tool works, which allows you to take it once you click on a object, it'll select it, and you can move that around. Oops, you can move that around as well, right? All right, so that's it for this little tutorial. Hopefully it helped make sense of the basic tools, the tool set, and the move and the hand tool and the zoom in and zoom out tool. All right, practice using those tools. Get comfortable with them so you don't have to think about how to get around, and then we'll tackle some of the more complex and fun tools that we have.